Hello, I'm Jason Campagna. Today, let's talk about some end-use applications for the concrete repair product line. Do you think this has ever happened to your customer? Well, that accident could have potentially cost your customer a lot of money. So why did that happen? If we look down, we see a spall in the concrete, a fairly large hole or crack at a transition point between one slab of concrete to the next. A very common place to see these happen. This seems like a fairly large hole. So let's look at how we're going to prepare this crack to fill it. First thing that we want to do is remove all the large loose impediments. Just with your hand, some of the stubborn ones maybe with a screwdriver, and then prepare it a little further with a wire brush, getting a little more aggressive at the edges. The next level would be to clean out the small particles in one of three ways. One way could be something like a shop vac or vacuum. Another common way is a pressure washer or some sort of clean, dry air, such as I'll use here. Remember, you're going to want to use safety glasses, especially for something like this. Let's get the cartridge ready for dispensing. A couple words about the cartridge itself. This is a two-component system, so you will need a mixing nozzle. There are two mixing nozzles provided with each cartridge. Those nozzles can be accessed by simply twisting off the retaining nut and then lifting off the plastic holder. There is a tip plug on this cartridge as well that can easily be removed by twisting and pulling. At that point, you can take one of the mixing nozzles and put it right onto the cartridge. These nozzles do have threads that fit right on top of the cartridge. So the only reason to keep the retaining nut or the tip plug is for longer-term storage of the cartridge after it's been partially used. One other point about this cartridge is that the nozzle itself is offset. That means you do have to be a little bit careful when putting this into the applicator. You notice that there's a groove that runs vertically. You want to make sure that that post does run down that groove. Simply make sure that that's at the top. The label may not face up, but it should slide right in. Another thing that you may have noticed with this cartridge is that I did not balance any pistons before I put it into the applicator, as I would have with the other types. That can be accomplished simply by dispensing a bead about 6 inches long. I'll do that now. At that point, we can be sure that the product will dispense properly. Another thing to mention about this cartridge is that there are two pistons inside to push both components. So when the cartridge is completely dispensed, the piston will only look like it's halfway into the cartridge. Now as we go to fill this, a couple things to remember. You can see I'm starting from the lowest area of the spall first. That allows the adhesive to flow the best. The other thing I'm doing is keeping a steady flow of material. That allows for the material to level to its optimum capacity, and it's a little easier to dispense. A couple more things that you can do to give this repair a more finished look are take masking tape to the edges and then pull that tape up after about 2 minutes to give clean lines. You can use things such as a polypropylene or polyethylene spreader to get a clean surface and fill all the way to the edge. And in some cases, you can even use a larger polypropylene or polyethylene sheet to put on top with some weight to give a completely even and smooth surface. If that's an afterthought, this material can also be sanded easily by using a 50 grit disc or belt. It's been about 15 minutes, and at this point, you can see that the adhesive is fully hardened. Your customer can now drive his cart across that repair without any issues at all. Now remember, this is just 15 minutes. There's nothing else that your customer is going to find that's faster or more permanent.